Broads Media.
Wow! 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 What a baseball game. Also, this episode is brought to you by Emilio Cigars. They sponsor this podcast. And what I need to tell you is after a victory like that, there is nothing better than going outside and enjoying a beautiful Emilio cigar. Some new school attitude, some old school roots, third generation. And these puppies were made at the Fábrica Oveja Negra in Nicaragua. This is the real deal. I got a whole box of them sitting right here. And I've been passing them out to a lot of my loved ones. I've been giving them to my friends as well. And they keep hitting me up saying, Broads, I need more. Where do I go? Where can I get my Emilio cigars? And I say you can check the link out in the description down below. I say that you can go to your local tobacco shop and ask if they have Emilio cigars. Let me tell you something. There's only one cigar to smoke, and that's Emilio cigar. I need this episode to be over so I can go kick back and enjoy a summer night in a Phil's stub with mine. Make sure you join me. Emilio Cigars. Oh, man, that was great. That was so fucking good. Nick, the exclamation point. Him and Rob Thompson, what a moment. Because it's clear they challenged one another. And whoa, that was a button push by the manager, and that was a hell of a response by the player. They got real momentum from it. Nick adds on, and now the team is buzzing. If Zach Wheeler did not get boned by the dumbass blue behind the dish, there's probably no Taiwan. And if Taiwan's not in this game, then it's a shutout. That's what Taiwan Walker does. That's what he is. That's what he's been since coming here. And all the Mets fans should understand. Woo! Wow! Wow! JT, Nick, running at home plate at the same time. They embarrassed them. All the Mets fans trying to make some noise. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Go travel back up the turnpike. Go to your nasty ass North Jersey and get out of my face. I should have seen Zach Wheeler have another dominant inning. You knew the second the double play went down in the first inning and Zach Wheeler gets out of the bases loaded jam, the Mets were never going to get a better chance again when Zach Wheeler was still throwing. He was shoving. Again, if he didn't get absolutely hosed, there's a good chance the Mets don't even get those homers. Unfortunately, we know that all too well, but the balls and toughness on this team, it didn't bother them. Look at what they did afterwards. Look at what they did when they came together, game tied, after taking a nice lead, doing some little things well. It's easy to get defeated. It's easy to think about what the deficiency has been for this club all year long. The bullpen. And what just happened? The bullpen. The bullpen blew it. That's what happened. You can unravel. But instead, it's the complete opposite. Trey Turner, after a couple of really rough at-bats, what's he do? He gives you an RBI double, and now you're taking the lead again. Stott, I thought that was going over the wall. Still had the juice. Still had the energy. What's going viral right now are all those clips of no broadcast and it's just the fans and you can see the reaction. That was playoff fucking baseball atmosphere. My God, I had chills. I had the intensity and when guys get on base type of feeling that game mattered. And don't let Mets fans downplay what this matchup was. I understand it's not the NLDS, but this Phillies group, you've had their number. You pantsed us in Citi Field this year, and that was the first time we got to stare at your stupid face since you guys took us down after we won the division. And you guys are going through hell. You guys are getting swept at home, and then you're getting swept by Atlanta in Truist Park. So what better team to see than the one with all the pressure? They were supposed to annihilate us. We're not really healthy right now, although neither is Bryce, which is our biggest superstar. Imagine if he was healthy and that wrist wasn't a problem. The Mets had sort of the we must get our shit into gear now type of mentality when heading into the ballpark. And if they didn't, then you got the wrong crew. They knew the importance of this one. They knew how badly they needed to stop the bleeding. And they fell flat. And I don't care that the Apple TV broadcast wants to make it feel, oh, it wasn't really a blowout because the game was super close and the Mets came climbing back and it was just one inning late. Shut your mouth. You're telling me the way that ballpark went nuts, the way that team was grooving, the way we actually saw the vibes of great Phillies baseball back? You're telling me this is just... There were serious ramifications from this game. One gets the division lead for the night. Whoever wins this series takes it back and is in control. If that doesn't motivate you and you ho-hum through that type of challenge in the regular season, then your crew blows. I think the Mets came in there with that type of mentality. They just failed the mission. And we finally got some swagger back and some life back. For the first time all year, I went, I like this group. I like this group. So I'm hoping they just run with it from here. And we never look back and we never go back. It was a great step in the right direction. And now you got to think about Mick Abel. And I'm so pumped up to see what Mick we get. Do we get his debut against the Pittsburgh Pirates, Mick Abel? Do we get the second game of his career, or is it similar to a Chicago Cubs game where when you see talent like that, whoa, different animal, different beast. I still like to strike out against Kyle Tucker after falling down 3-1 with bases loaded in a one-run game with 2 outs. That is stuck in my head because I thought it was a great moment. But overall, he wasn't good enough against the Cubs. Is he going to crack when you see Alonso? Is he going to have that same demeanor? If Lindor gets a hold of one? If Juan Soto gives him a stare down? I'm just asking the question. I believe in him. I think he's the real deal. But the reason why I put a ton of pressure on this game, too, is knowing that Wheels was going up against, who was it, Tidwell? Don't even know who the hell that is, but I know he had a 13-14 ERA because he only threw 3 2/3 innings so far this season. So was Stiff. And to be fair, I actually think he lasted longer than I even thought he would. I didn't think he'd last anything, and he lasted 3 2/3, and I'm over here going, what a shocker. What a stutter. I thought he'd go 1. I thought he'd go 1 2/3. Then the Mets are struggling to even record an out. The guys are, just fucking flying around the bases. Runs. I'm looking left, I'm looking right. I can't even tell what's happening. There's so much electric blue, by the way. Are we going to do an Aqua October? Because those things are sexy. I'm telling you, they're premier. They're A+. But it's just full speed. The blue's buzzing. Couldn't even understand what was truly happening. They were on that much fire. Outstanding. Just like my lawn. Green lawn fertilizing. That's right. I went to the experts because when I first became a homeowner, I was not paying attention to my lawn, and then I needed it to recover badly. So I sat down with the ones who really know, and they taught me everything about the different products that they use, how they were able to make their own custom blend, and then they walked me through the treatments that I was going to get, and I just got my third treatment done. And what's awesome about the experts is you sit down with Green Lawn Fertilizing, and they describe to you what's going down, and then I go, okay, well, I was looking out front, I noticed there were some brown spots. What does that mean? I go, the browns. It's doing its work. It kills the weeds, and then you're able to kind of build that new green grass and grow that new green grass, and we can get that nice, beautiful, luscious lawn that you've been looking for. They communicate. They're like family. Right now, Green Lawn Fertilizing is giving you 50% off your first two treatments. That's right, 50% off your first two treatments. All you have to do is check out the link down below in the description and join the Green Lawn Fertilizing family. I think we got to give Rob Thompson so much love. There's a lot of callers that call in all day long. Rob screwed up by going to this guy. Why did Rob do this? Why would Rob ask whoever it was to go the 6th when he was obviously done, or go the 7th? He put a couple base runners on, and it was inevitable that was a dumb decision. And this goes back to the roster and the thin bullpen. I watched him do it with Aaron Nola before Aaron Nola got the injury, and I saw him do it just a day or two ago, where you are so down bad and you don't have that many reliable arms. We need to ask our starter who's going into a rhythm to squeeze one more inning out. That is a better option than the Carlos Hernandez's, the Joe Rosses, and Rob Thompson takes that gamble. I don't really blame him. Because as you see, you go to a Taijuan Walker and instantly the game was tied. I mean, when I tell you, you blink and it was tied. Just poof, gone. I actually had hope that maybe he could earn some respect in some valuable bullpen role. I don't know. I don't know how much time you got to dance around with this to even figure it out. Because you got to keep your foot on the gas. You got to keep control and do not let it slip from your grasp again. But Rob Thompson, he is a good manager. He does lack the pulse sometimes. Rob Thompson is a good manager. I've been pro Rob Thompson for a while. What he just did with Nick Castellanos, who is a very unique personality and you have to thread the needle when making a decision and putting the hammer down, or else it can go berserk. Now, we're getting to the point where he's subtweeting people on Instagram and putting out captions like, learn the rules like a pro to break them like an artist. I mean, that is some real deep shit. That's not just, hey, I'm going to take the field with more urgency and play better defense. This is all weird shit. And look at what he does. I think he respects Rob Thompson so much. The following day, letting Nick still stay out there and, just handling the very hostile moment perfectly to a T. That is a very weird personality to deal with. You got to get it right. You got to have the right amount of respect. You broke his streak. I'm going to the ballpark and lacing up the cleats and playing 9 innings every day because I love this game and I'm so damn passionate. You took that guy away from his streak just to keep him in the next day which almost makes the decision feel weirder. But again, you have to time this out perfectly on when you make a move like this, and how you do it matters. And everything within this circle has now had both of these men answer the challenge with 2 thumbs up. What's Rob going to do in this type of situation with a very tense team who has a lot of pressure by the public, by the national view, by the local view? And you got to get it done. You're 13, 14, 15 games over 500. This city rightfully talks about you as if you're stiffs and have big holes, and you got to hear that and wear that every single day, even though inside that clubhouse, you guys are doing what you're capable of doing. All right, Rob, your turn. Time to earn the paycheck. How do you keep everything intact, keep them motivated, and most importantly, get the best out of the guys? The whole team has a feeling because of that. The whole team. The team's playing inspired. That's Rob Thompson being elite at his job. That's him knocking it out of the park. That's a 3-run blast Kyle Schwarbaum nuke in a 2-run game when you're down type move. That's making a serious impact. So the next time you want to freak out about a managerial decision in a baseball game, which all managers get wrong when you have this type of personnel surrounding you, think of the way the team attacks right now. Think of the way we just experienced something similar with Nick Sirianni, Jalen, the offensive line, the team coming together. They're doing it in different ways, but 2-2 at the start, unacceptable. Get your head out of your ass, Super Bowl champions. They're on their way to getting their head out of their ass. And the flower speech that is oh so famous by Nick, that's the Nick Castellanos, Rob Thompson bash. There's things you can point back to. You're almost seeing a very similar type of story play out. Great defense. How about the defense turning it around? Kemp! I got to tell you what, there is something about when Kemp makes a play. Even if he gets a hustle play and he doesn't get thrown out at first base, he beats an infield ball, all right. At least he didn't get turned 2 on. Score a run, the little things. Now, Marsh ended up allowing a double to go over his head, and the Mets got some base runners there, and I would like for him to make that catch. It was on the more difficult side, but again, if this is the playoffs, you have to make that catch. You can't give teams life. You're paid to make good defensive plays. But the defense, Stott, of course, Trey, there was the one the Mets didn't challenge. If Kemp's foot was off the bag or whatever it was, that happened. But Marsh has been hitting the ball better. I'm just taking a look at a couple of things here that I have written down. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you go back to that first inning, and if the Mets were really going to get off the schneid, if they were really going to get out of that funk, that brutal, disgusting, horrible stretch of baseball that they're playing, then you make a statement and a stand against Zach Wheeler as he's struggling to be his best in the beginning. I was stunned by that, honestly. I thought he'd do what he was doing when he was finally striking guys out right from the rip. The adrenaline, the excitement, the feeling of having people there. I know I joke around about it, but when you last play in Miami, and there may have been 6 people combined throughout all 4 games, not 6 each game, 6 total. That's eerie. It's weird. It's bizarre. It's irky. It's hard to play a game that way when you're so used to this, or at least some version of this. It's not always this intensity, but, you know, you are used to this more than Miami. Then you get thrown into the wacky fans and the loudness and the traffic. I got to imagine when you're in the clubhouse, you're getting ready, you're listening to your music, you're out there throwing, balls around or whatever with the fellas and taking some PP. You think about the city and everybody talking about a Friday night against the Mets. Both of you have the same exact record in the standings. And 45,000 people are going to be here to just go crazy and support you. You're the biggest thing in the entire city of Philadelphia on that night. And everyone's coming to see you after you just pitched in Miami in front of 6 people. And knowing you were going to fucking kill them too. Because it looked that way. I wanted to get a sense of how the style would look. They could win a game, but it'd be one of those irritating wins, and both teams just looked miserable, and you could tell they're both just slugging it out there, and one team has to win. A very sluggish game. But it seems as if with this matchup, currently, the Mets are your father. The Mets are straight up dominating your ass. So when they're not playing well, they think, hey, well, this is great. There's no team we'd rather see than this. One that's going to give us a rise. One that's going to hit the emotional strings. And one that we always beat them. Regardless of them knowing who's pitching or not, I'm sure they understand they're down some starters. Again, we are down Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper has barely been able to be himself, and I probably should go back and find the audio, but I was listening to the WIP midday show today, and they played a piece of audio, and I didn't know what it was from, but it was Dave Dombrowski talking about how Bryce Harper is able to, like the trainers said that he had 2 thumbs up. He was cleared to do some things, but it's really just about managing this in the short term. And just the way he was explaining it, it did not sound positive or optimistic whatsoever. Bryce talked with some reporters today, and he was saying some things too about just not knowing how he's going to react, and he was more active on the field, getting his body ready, and he was hitting off the tee. So it is moving in the right direction. But my biggest fear is it doesn't matter how it feels now. It matters when you see 3 or 4 star pitchers in a row, and you're taking the diamond in meaningful games every single day. That's where I need to start wondering what the hell is it going to look like afterwards. Because I'd imagine if he took off in the offseason, felt pretty good, and then the second this season began, it was hurting him significantly, then why would the amount of time, the very limited amount of time he's been off for since this was all diagnosed, why would that benefit him enough? The offseason's way longer. There's way more ability to get it right and get it where it needs to be. In a shorter time, in the thick of it, when it's probably in the most pain it's been in, you're just going to snap your fingers and it's good to go? It's obviously not tolerable. I'm worried about it. I'm trying to be pumped up and stoked, and you kick the Mets' ass, and that's fucking awesome, and it is great, and it's amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's phenomenal. And I think McGable's going to shove. Hearing Bryce, it hit me. There was a feeling of uncomfortable. All right, let's go to the Anytime Hotline. Let's hear from the people. What a dub. 10-2. Straight up murder scene. 3 words. Make that 2 episodes in a row. I was unprepared. Yikes.
3 words, bros. 3 words. Belt to ass. Belt to ass. I really thought that after the 2-0 lead, Walker immediately gives it up. You're looking like, this is the classic Phillies Mets feeling, and then just an onslaught that the Phils put on those 2 innings. I was still laughing my ass off when JT was riding Nick's ass. I just have to say, Baum, he's got to be better on the base pads. Like, yeah, it worked out for us, but God, that should have not have been that. That should have been more clean. But get it done. Nick Castellanos had played a hell of a game today, and we got to keep the ball rolling here. And we get first place.
Listen, I don't understand the frustration about the play at home. I got no complaints. It's one that just happened the way that it happened. JT was mentioning thinking that the ball was actually leaving the yard, so he was in the trot, and then he kind of kicked it into gear, and he looked up, and he was right there on his ass. So crazy. But it's not one that I'm worried about execution of base running or anything like that. I just enjoyed the moment. I enjoyed hearing the fans. I enjoyed listening and just hearing how crazy everybody was going, all liquored up, right? Doing a bunch of shots in Jetro and then walking over to CBP. That's amazing. I'm so jealous of everybody who got to experience that. Nice night out. You want to hear from Rob Thompson? This is what Rob Thompson had to say on that play.
How much did you enjoy watching that play with Castellanos and JT?
That was great. I've seen where there's two guys thrown out at the plate at the same time. Yeah, that was good. JT did a great job.
Dude. That was so electric. Just so electric. I don't even know what else to say. I really don't. All right. That's going to do it. I don't know. I hope I didn't underwhelm. I'm defeated. I was building a whole entire gym in my basement today for about 20 hours. And now I'm realizing I am fucking exhausted. That's what this show was. 25 minutes of me realizing that I'm beat up. We'll do it again tomorrow night. 7 o'clock. Big game feel to it. We'll talk after. Go Phillies.